Welcome to Mind Shield. We protect the mind and pursue the truth. Let's get started.
Welcome, recruit. This is your first briefing in Operation Mental Independence. The world is full of things we cannot see with our eyes: signals, waves, frequencies, and forms of energy moving all around us. Most people go through life without thinking much about them. But this training is about learning to notice what others ignore, and more importantly, learning how to stay steady when the invisible world feels overwhelming. This mission is not about fear. It is about awareness. It is about courage. And it is about building the kind of inner strength that helps you stay calm, focused, and free, even when life feels strange, loud, or confusing. Sometimes the adults in your life may seem distracted, stressed, upset, or afraid. This presentation frames that struggle as a battle against what it calls the static, a kind of interference that can make thoughts, emotions, and daily life feel noisy or distorted. For a child, that can be confusing. It can feel personal, even when it is not. So this slide teaches a very important lesson. Your job is not to carry the whole battle on your shoulders. Your job is to stay grounded, to stay kind, to protect your own peace. You are not here to fix everything. You are here to become a guardian of your own calm, your own clarity, and your own signal. The air around us is not empty. It is crowded with radio frequencies, microwave transmissions, Wi-Fi signals, and communication systems working non-stop. We do not see them, but that does not mean they are imaginary. Phones, routers, satellites, towers, and wireless devices all depend on invisible forms of energy moving through space. This slide uses that reality to make a larger point. Just because something is unseen does not mean it has no effect. Human beings live inside an environment shaped by technology, information, and energy. The lesson here is simple. Awareness matters. If we understand the invisible landscape around us, we stop feeling helpless inside it, and we begin to move through it with more intelligence and less fear. Your brain is extraordinary. It is not powered by gasoline or gears. It runs on electricity, tiny electrochemical signals moving through neurons at incredible speed. Every thought, memory, feeling, decision, and reaction depends on this living electrical system. That is why the brain can be imagined here as both powerful and vulnerable. When the signal is clean, the mind can think clearly. When the system feels overloaded, a person may feel dizzy, unsettled, emotionally flooded, or mentally exhausted. This slide gives that experience a simple metaphor: outside interference trying to crash the party. Whether you take that metaphor literally, symbolically, or somewhere in between, the core message is the same. Your brain is precious, and learning how to protect your mental state is not weakness, it is wisdom. This slide introduces the idea that certain sounds may not behave like ordinary sound at all. It points to the microwave auditory effect, sometimes called the Frey effect, as a way to explain how energy pulses could create the perception of clicks, pops, buzzing, or voice-like sounds inside the head. The presentation's goal here is not to terrify the viewer, but to reframe the experience. If something feels strange, it may not be magic, and it may not mean you are powerless. Sometimes understanding the mechanism changes the emotion. The unknown becomes less monstrous once it has a name. This is a recurring theme in the whole deck. Knowledge shrinks fear. When you can describe the trick starts losing some of its power. Now the briefing shifts from understanding to defense. This slide presents the idea of creating a shielded zone, a physical space that feels safer, quieter, and more protected. It uses the Faraday cage concept as a simple metaphor for defense through conductive material and enclosure. In the language of the presentation, this becomes Operation Bunker. Whether the setup is elaborate or basic, the deeper point is about restoring a sense of agency. When life feels invaded, building a refuge matters. A room can become more than a room. It can become a boundary, a reset point, a place where the nervous system is allowed to breathe. Sometimes survival starts with something small: one chair, one blanket, one quiet corner, one visible act of saying, "This space belongs to peace." The next tactic is reducing your signal footprint. Phones, routers, wireless networks, and connected devices constantly announce themselves to the world. This slide translates that into battlefield language. Sometimes, to avoid being tracked, you go quiet. Airplane mode, hard switches, powering down the router at night, creating periods of less digital noise. Beyond the tactical framing, there is a practical truth here that applies no matter how you interpret the threat. Constant connectivity taxes the human system. Rest requires intervals of disconnection. Sleep deepens when the environment is simpler. The mind settles when fewer things are pinging for attention. So stealth mode is not only about hiding, it is also about recovery. Sometimes the most rebellious thing a person can do in a noisy world is turn something off. Here the presentation moves from metal defenses to mental defenses. The strongest shield, it says, is not made of foil, wiring, or walls. It is made of focus. It is made of emotional discipline. It is made of refusing to let panic run the command center. The image used here is powerful. Be the mountain. Storms move. Clouds pass. Noise rises and falls. But the mountain remains. That is the lesson. You may not control every condition around you, but you can train your response. Calm is not denial. Calm is position. Calm is refusing to hand over your nervous system to chaos. The inner shield is the quiet force that says, I see what is happening, I feel what is happening, but I do not have to become what is happening. This slide gives the audience something immediate and practical. A breathing pattern. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. Simple, rhythmic, repeatable. In military and high-stress settings, controlled breathing is used because it works. It interrupts panic. It slows the cascade. It tells the body that it does not have to live at red alert every second of the day. This is important because when a person feels overwhelmed, the first battlefield is often the body itself. Heart racing, chest tightening, thoughts scattering. Tactical breathing is a way to reclaim command. It is a reminder that breath is a tool, not just a reflex. And when everything else feels out of control, one measured breath can be the first brick in rebuilding stability. Then comes one of the strongest ideas in the entire presentation: joy as resistance. Fear isolates. Stress narrows life. Misery wants the whole house to speak its language. But laughter interrupts that pattern. Connection interrupts it. Play interrupts it. A board game, a walk, a joke, a movie, a shared meal. These things are not trivial. They are acts of defiance against despair. This slide argues that happiness generates its own kind of signal, one that pushes back against heaviness and collapse. Whether you hear that poetically, spiritually, or psychologically, the truth lands. A family that can still laugh is not defeated. A person who can still love is not conquered. Joy is not childish. Joy is strategic. Sometimes the light in the room is the shield. This page expands the frame beyond the individual and says, you are not alone. There are investigators, analysts, experts, advocates, and communities trying to study patterns, gather data, ask questions, and make sense of experiences that feel dismissed or misunderstood. The message for the young viewer is especially important here. You do not have to become the detective. You do not have to solve every mystery. You do not have to carry adult burdens like a tiny soldier with the whole war on your back. Your mission is smaller, cleaner, and more human. Protect your peace. Protect your hope. Protect your heart. Let the grown-ups do the investigating. Your job is to keep growing, keep breathing, and keep your light alive. At this point in the briefing, we pause and remember the big picture. This mission is built on 3 things: awareness, protection, and resilience. First, learn to recognize the invisible environment around you. Second, build practical defenses, physical habits, quiet spaces, digital boundaries, recovery rituals. Third, strengthen what cannot be taken so easily: your focus, your breath, your joy, your sense of self. That is the deeper training. Not becoming consumed by fear, but becoming harder to break. Not pretending the world is simple, but refusing to let complexity steal your spirit. Every mission needs a center. This is yours. Stay observant, stay grounded, and remember that your mind is not just something to use. It is something to defend. As this briefing ends, the final message is clear. The world may be full of invisible forces, strange pressures, and battles most people never talk about. But you are not helpless inside that world. You have tools, you have language, you have choices, you have an inner shield. And most of all, you have a role in your own story. Not as a victim of confusion, but as a guardian of your clarity. Not as someone swallowed by fear, but as someone trained to meet uncertainty with courage. Stay strong when things feel heavy. Stay calm when things feel loud. Stay free in the place that matters most, your own mind. End of briefing.